Good afternoon. We are still here at
ANGOTIC.
ANGOTIC, and we have a pleasure to be talking to Lisa Vidiera, one of the main players in the SME space, and especially in the youth development and incubation of innovation and small companies.
Yes.
Good afternoon. You're welcome.
Hello. First of all, thank you for the interview. It's always a pleasure to be here and share all of the story and knowledge I have.
Thank you very much. The first question, what is your impression of ANGOTIC, which I think is not the first time like us attending ANGOTIC? So what can you give us the ecosystem of the ANGOTIC, how you get involved and how it has influenced your work?
Okay. So I'm going to speak as a founder of a startup.
Yes.
And then also I will speak as the president of the Startup Association and Digital Entrepreneurship. So if I go back studying in 2019, that was the first time I participated in ANGOTIC.
Yes.
And I came after I've gone through an incubation program for startups, for my own startup, which was Orange Corners Angola, a program financed by the Holland, by Holland country. And at the end of the program, we had the chance, those who finished the program, to have a paid sponsored stand to exhibit his startup and digital product in ANGOTIC.
Yes.
So that was the first time I get in contact with the event as an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
And actually the first time I actually came to the event.
Yeah.
Once I got here, I was overwhelmed with the connections and the meeting point of all of the digital entrepreneurs, innovation, connectivity, and everything that it started to give birth to new Angolan startups that were coming up on the market.
Yes.
There was also competitions, hackathon, which I participated, and it actually challenged me to see things in a different view. And that was the first time that I was aware, okay, we now are creating a new ecosystem of digital entrepreneurs. Since then, I have been involved with the ecosystem as a founder, as an entrepreneur, and I found many challenges in terms of the country framework. We, up to now, do not have a startup law, like a startup act, that can help us develop our businesses in a way that we are not fully compared to the SME. In terms of taxes, we end up paying double the taxes of some of our digital services because they consider our business plan as brick and mortar, as a normal business plan.
Yeah.
They do not see the pillar of exponential growth that a digital product or services can have. And in that way, it also delays in terms of dealing with potential investors from outside. Because, for example, I had an investor for my startup from Portugal and another one from UAE, which was an Indian investor.
Yeah.
And the first thing he asked me was, does your country, Angola, has a startup like act like South Africa,
Yes.
like Rwanda, Nigeria, Kenya,
Yes.
Malawi? And I was like, well, actually, no. We still are under the framework of SME. So he was a little bit skeptical in terms of the growth of our ecosystem in Angola.
Exactly.
And at that time in 2019, we were not in the index of ecosystems within Africa that
Yes.
attracted a lot of investment.
Exactly.
If we compare ourselves to South Africa, Nigeria and Egypt, or
Yes.
even Kenya,
Yes.
you guys take the whole stake of the cake.
Yes.
And I did not manage to fulfill the investment because at the last minute they reconsidered it and said, you know what, you might not be ready for the market. I feel that your startup solution is ahead of the market.
Yes.
You don't have a law. The market is still too small compared to Nigeria or even South Africa.
South Africa, yes.
So in terms of where to invest my money, I
Yes.
think it's more convincing to go to other countries
Yes.
and not Angola. So after facing this two disappointments, because I lost two opportunities to close a deal,
The
to
deal,
close
yes.
investment, I realized that we needed to create an association that
Yes.
could speak for all of us, because I was not the only one having
Yeah.
the same problems.
Exactly.
Other startups were complaining about not managing to attract investment as other
Exactly.
countries, the double taxation, the difficulties for the government to understand how our business plan worked. Even locally, we don't have culture of angel investment as it happens in Silicon Valley in all this
Exactly.
digital ecosystem.
Yes.
So we decided, okay, let's get together, create an association, one voice, and let's start working closely to the entities responsible for creating laws,
Yes.
and start working on a proposal so that we can better create conditions to attract investments, to be taxed in the sort of fair way,
Yes.
and facilitate that our startups do not die before they reach sustainable growth, or
Yes.
at least 3 years in terms of MVP and shifting and adjusting how our products or services worked.
Yes.
That's when we launched in 2023 our
Yes.
association, although we had the idea during COVID, because COVID time we had,
Yeah.
was more than enough to think about all the
About
plans
all the planning.
we want to
Yes.
implement.
Yes.
So that's when we started. By 2023, we had by our side the institution of national micro and small companies,
Yes.
an entity from the government supporting our association to launch, and we
Yeah.
straight away started working on a draft for a startup law.
Yes.
By the end of 2024, last year,
Yes.
the IFC joined the fight to
Yes.
promote a law that will help definitely to boost our ecosystem. For
Exactly.
example, as of today, 2025 ANGOTIC,
Yes.
we had more than 180 startups exhibiting in one tent.
Yes.
This is a record breaking,
Yes,
because
we saw
back
that.
in the day in 2019 when I first came,
Yes.
we were maximum 50
Yes.
exhibiting, like startups with an MVP, with a
Yes.
minimum product offering to the market.
Exactly.
And now we are more than 80, and they still had to decline a lot of potential startups
Yes.
for exhibition.
Yes.
So I see a huge growth, and I can see that we already reached that curve of growing.
Yes.
We have the support of the government.
Yes.
New venture capitals are being creating.
Yes.
We have angel investors club.
Yes.
New incubators have been created on universities by, for example, telecommunication companies.
Yes.
Even Total Energies, they
Yes.
did a competition towards
Yes.
entrepreneurship and digital startups recently to celebrate. And they had, for the competition in all African countries, they held the challenge. Angola was the highest with project submissions,
Okay.
more than 3,500.
Yes.
So
May
we
May I
can
ask
see
you a question?
a
Now that
growth.
you've covered a wide range of initiatives and the collaboration, so to speak, between the government and the innovation and the SMMEs, just explain for us how come in Angola, have you managed in Angola to match together the youth with the process of digitization? I know that's a very general question. How did you manage to pull the youth into this innovation cycle? Because in terms of demographics, Angola is very unique because even the participants, not only the end users, but coders and programmers, the age is like the youth. And that
Indeed,
is very rare in Africa. So
indeed,
how did you
indeed.
manage that?
Well, the youth, in terms of age, according to the INE, the National Institute for Statistics, it goes around 18 to 35, which is
Okay.
really young.
Yes.
We have a huge community of programmers actually back at the north of Angola, Cabinda.
Yes.
But we already have a community spread all over our country,
Angola.
Namib, Lubango, Benguela, Wij,
Yes.
not just in Luanda, the capital. And
Yeah.
what has been happening is, for the couple, like 5 years, our government have opened a lot of incubators, not
Yes.
just in Luanda, but also around Angola.
Yes.
Even our Excellency, the President, João Lourenço, has opened a space called Digital
Yes.
AO. It's
Yes.
like Digital AO, which stands for Angola,
Yes.
that promotes a lot of training, education training,
Yes.
incubation programs,
Yes.
workshops,
Yes.
mentorship,
Yes.
networking events. And what has been happening is with these specific incubation centers they have launched, also the universities started to incubate their own students.
Yes.
A lot of new startups came up.
Okay.
And nowadays, we can, with correspondingly in the Angolan currency or even less, with $100,
Yes.
you can create a digital company. You
Yes.
can have a website with, with a link, and
Yes.
then offer something online.
Exactly.
Now, it's even more easier and faster to create products using AI
Yes.
and new programming codes.
Yes.
Even the new technologies are coming out, like
Yes.
blockchain and the Internet of Things.
Yes.
We are growing in a very exponential way.
Yes.
And the key component here that I need to refer is the access to internet.
Yes.
In Angola, we still have the lowest cost of internet for
Yes.
SADC, which it's very good to facilitate the access to data
Yes.
compared to other countries. And the internet penetration within Angola, we are not that small. I think we are, in terms of kilometer, 1 million something.
Yes.
Must be as big as South Africa, I can
Exactly.
imagine.
Yes.
And the internet spread, the penetration,
Yes.
has gone at least 70%. As you know, unfortunately, our country had a civil war officially until 22.
Yes.
Only after 2002,
Yes.
that's when we managed to invest in infrastructure. And one of the key things for this development of digital is the access to the internet.
Exactly.
Not just satellite, but also broadband.
Exactly.
There was a huge project implemented by the Ministry of Telecommunication and Social Communication, which was the Angolan cables, a cable that came directly from Brazil.
Yes.
It started in US, sponsored by Google,
Yes.
connected to Brazil, and then they managed to extend this connection of internet
To Angola.
via Atlantico
Yes.
Sea to Angola, which is now one of the fastest broadband cables we have available, connected up
Yes.
to now, connected to Africa.
Yes.
So this cable allowed us to have access to data at lower price
Yes.
compared to the rest of SADC.
Yes.
And when they managed to spread within the country, that facilitated the access, more access to mobile phones,
Yes.
because our continent, with 1 billion
Yes.
young people, we use a lot the mobile more than computer.
More than computers.
They started to create, new business. Nowadays, young people can sell through Facebook, Instagram.
Exactly.
They create their own pages, social media pages.
Yes.
To create a website with AI now, it's even easier, and cheaper.
Yeah.
So they started to use these options
Yes.
to leverage the way they can do business. And one of the key main things also the government has been working is in terms of the building for the last 20 years of schools and high schools.
Yes.
Because what I notice is most of our startup founders, they come from university
Exactly.
level. And that is really good, because then they then create ideas. For example, even today in ANGOTIC, they create ideas that are made to solve local problems.
Exactly.
And adapted to our African reality. And for me, that is the way to go, because we can't do copy paste from a startup or solution from Silicon Valley in America. That doesn't apply to our reality.
Exactly. One question that is interesting. We spoke of ecosystems, we spoke of the youth, and we spoke about, you mentioned AI. But what you speak mostly of is the connectivity.
Yes.
In most African countries, what I've seen or developing well is that the focus is on connectivity. But in Angola, we've managed something. The new space economy, AI plus connectivity, and you have created an ecosystem of digital platforms that connect with each other, be it in education, be it in a hailing, right? How did you manage to have that organic leapfrogging type of development? You are not going stage by stage in Angola, so to speak. You are doing everything at the same time. What is interesting for us is that creates employment for the youth. How did you manage to create such a robust ecosystem and very fast?
Well, there are different pillars that are being built simultaneously. For
Yes,
example, before we didn't have data centers in Angola. Now
yes,
we do. We do
yes,
have. We have from Multipla, Angolan cables, and new data centers. So
yeah,
we started to create local content. We
exactly.
started to consume local content. We started to have Angolan influencers
Yes,
because for many years, as you know, as African, we would look to America movies and what is
yes,
outside and consume. Even for Black entertainment, in terms of content, we would look to America. But
exactly,
nowadays, we have reference to local influencers,
exactly.
even for music, in movies, and so on.
Yes,
And then we also started to have access to infrastructure that normally we didn't have.
yes,
I remember when I was younger, to have internet was a blessing, and I would have a maximum in my home. Nowadays, you can go to a co-working place, you can go
exactly.
to a library, sit
Mm.
down with your phone, tablet, computer, have
Yeah,
access to the internet, and then work
yes,
around something. And one of the things that I must admit we Angolans have is the blood of selling something.
yes,
There is a huge informal market
yes,
that people use to survive day-to-day basis. So the young people are bringing this informal, do business. Hey, I sell you shoes for girls. My colleagues, trainers, and then readapt with new technology,
yes,
creating a shop online with just WhatsApp. It's as
yes,
easier as that.
yes.
Before we wouldn't even imagine that.
Imagine that,
So
exactly.
we fast can marry between the digital and the
Yes.
brick and mortar business, and
Okay.
that way boost. And what is happening for the last 10 years is a lot of new opportunities we didn't have before,
Yes.
and the access to infrastructure,
Yes.
lower
Mm.
internet. Right now, for example, we have on the market AfriCell that just
Yes.
got in for the last
Yes.
3 years, if I'm not
Mm.
mistaken. And they are offering internet prices lower than we had before.
Exactly.
Now I consume even more.
Exactly.
Internet has, easier. I can charge.
Yes.
And also, in terms of education, there is a heavy investment for the education of new skills. Let me
Yes.
give you an example. The School 42, which is a
Yes.
school that exists in France,
Yes.
now they have a branch only in
In
Angola.
Angola,
That
yes.
was an investment made by our Sonangol company, the oil company in
Yes.
Angola, our
Mm.
national oil company, sorry.
Exactly.
And this school is focused 100% to programming skills, to
Exactly.
program all types of PHP, AI, and
Yes.
new skills that will be required for the next 20 years at
For the
least, the
fourth
future.
industrial revolution.
And that's how we need to leapfrog, because
Yes.
unfortunately not every university are catching up in terms of the disruptive evolution
Exactly.
of the digital skills.
Exactly.
Even for me, I must admit, during COVID,
Yeah.
I dedicated a lot of time to the open university of the world called YouTube
Yes.
to
Yes.
learn how blockchain
Yes.
works. What is really Bitcoin?
Yes.
What is this digital currencies? What
Yes.
is this, buzz of all new technology coming on?
Yes.
Because if we don't become a evolving student, we end
Yes.
up staying behind, especially in digital, because the revolution now, it decreases every year.
Exactly. Exactly.
With the AI
Yes.
and this quantum, for example,
Yes.
physics coming on, and quantum computing.
Yes.
And one of the things that I see is, although AI can do a lot of work and make us more productive,
Yes.
I believe young people still need to learn the basics, because he
Exactly.
needs to understand how AI works to
Yeah.
then better communicate with it.
Yes.
Otherwise, if we just use AI to do our own tasks, we end up becoming lazy, sort of.
Exactly.
It's like, okay, I need to learn the rules of playing chess
Yes.
and actually play
Yes.
to then automate it with
Exactly.
AI, because then
Exactly.
he does all the tasks, all the moves, but I
Yeah.
won't
You don't
manage to
understand it.
connect how he got there.
Exactly.
And I think this is important, because I remember on the other day online, following this discussion, African youth is still learning coding
Yes.
and programming.
Exactly.
Now AI can do the program for you in split of a
In a
second.
split of a second, yes.
I disagree.
Yes.
And I go back to this theory. Yes, they can do the work, they can be the extension of our arms. But if I don't know how to use the arms, because it's, I have automated robots,
Yes.
how do I know how to go from A to Z? Because I
Exactly.
won't understand how he
Exactly.
managed to get there, even though he can do faster and better than me. But we still need to have the basics.
Let me ask you last question. Speaking of that, the need of learning basics, the need of learning basics and continuities. How do you plan to keep the development that you've already sustained? There's no question that you are going to be leaders in ICT,
Yes.
in the way that you've approached it in Angola. That is both organic and leapfrogging. Actually, the state that Angola was in is now becoming an advantage, because there's no need to re-engineer, but we need still to go to the basics. So, two questions: how do you consolidate the victories in the technological development within this organic state? Number one, and the last one is, where do you see ANGOTIC in 5 to 10 years?
Okay, let me go back to the first question. Can you repeat so that I don't get lost? Which
The,
is,
the first question is, how
how
do
do
you
we
keep the
keep
momentum
momentum?
of the connection of digitization with the SMMEs and engaging the youth, which fortunately we are going through the African youth dividend. So, how do you keep the momentum that you've already established as a tradition in Angola? And where do you see ANGOTIC in 5 to 10 years from now?
So, how do I keep the momentum? First of all, we need to continue to invest in our youth,
Yes.
invest in ideas, give them all the tools they need, to try, fail, go back up again, try again,
And
fail,
yes,
and learn with mistakes, as we call it lean thinking. I
yes,
go, I create a prototype, oh, it doesn't work, I readapt, oh, now the market has,
yes,
gone through a lot of changes because we had another COVID or
exactly.
something unexpected. Let me readjust again, aim, shoot, aim, shoot, aim, shoot. I think we need to make sure they have all conditions created to keep
Yes,
this cycle going on.
yes,
And it comes a startup act, it comes with financing, it comes with events, it comes with networking and constant capacity building, creating all the pillars from A to Z for the ecosystem to be sustainable and continues
yes,
to flourish. This is very important.
yeah,
And I believe, as a pan-Africanism, we need to have it local,
yes,
done by us,
yes,
managed by us,
yes,
and oriented by us. No
exactly.
copy pasting. We don't
Yes.
need that.
No,
Although it's handy and can be easy, but I rather start from scratch and
exactly.
have it as ours
Yes,
than just bring it on and try then to readapt to our reality. This
yes,
doesn't work anymore. It's
yes.
our problems, our
Our
solutions. I believe
solutions.
that.
Yes,
So I think, has the association represent them, speak as one voice, you know, look for ways to improve, to serve, you know, to serve the members, serve them, serve the problems. And also, which is something that I believe we Africans have, is establish communication between entities.
Exactly.
You know, ministry needs to communicate.
Exactly. Exactly.
Entrepreneurs need to communicate. You know, even the entities that are responsible to facilitate things to work, institutes, universities, schools, they need to communicate.
Yes.
I feel like we Africans, we don't communicate.
Yes.
You know, why doesn't Angola communicate more with Rwanda? It's just here.
It's just next door.
They
Exactly.
did a huge boost in terms of digital. Let's
Yeah.
learn with them. Let's
Exactly.
learn with Nigeria. Let's
Exactly.
learn with Tanzania. It's not even
Exactly.
far, and we even have a direct flight,
Yes.
just as we have it to South Africa.
South Africa. Exactly.
Let's connect more.
Yes.
I believe that there are realities that happen in Angola. It's the same
With South
in
Africa.
South Africa.
Exactly.
Even the ghettos are the same. The problems in the ghettos are the same.
Exactly.
Lack of energy, some of them we need to solve. We can use solar panels.
Exactly.
What are they using in South Africa? Why don't we bring it here? Why don't we collaborate more? You know, I think this is something we need to establish so that we keep youth.
The regional ecosystem.
Yeah,
Yes.
ecosystem, local, within
regional.
SADC,
Yes.
more exchange.
Exactly.
You know, thank God, Angolan don't need visa to go to South Africa.
Exactly.
By the way, I love Cape Town just because of the weather. I'm a kite surfer, by the way. I
Yes.
kite surf, you know, those
Yes.
crazy people that go on the water. So Cape Town for me, I love it.
Yes.
And I think that is the main thing. It's each player of the ecosystem, each stakeholder, they need to do their role.
Exactly.
They need to communicate
Communicate.
so that we can evolve. And this is happening now. I must say that when I started back in 2009 and I had an e-learning platform, there was no law that, for example, certify an Angolan student that did 100% courses online, such as bachelor, master's degree, or even PhD, because our Ministry of Education and the Ministry of Higher Education, they are separated.
Yes.
They didn't certify someone that had 100% classes online. They said, oh, we only certify if it's hybrid or on-site.
On-site.
And when I went to them, I was like, but hey, it's 2019. People are taking undergrads and master's degrees and even PhD 100% online.
Online.
Why are we still behind?
Yes.
I did a lot of noise. I knocked a lot of doors, universities, institutes, ministry. By the end of 2020, the parliament approved the recognition of certifications of people that study 100% online.
Yes.
And then we started to leapfrog, as you mentioned.
Yes.
But until we, the entrepreneurs, who lack of this law and necessity, if we are not noisy, then there is no problem.
Exactly.
So we need to expose the problem, but as we expose the problem, we come with the
solutions as well.
I'm a case study. I have a learning platform. At that time, I was negotiating with a university from the US to represent the courses online here, because one of the problems that I found from my customers is most of youth do not have visa to buy a course online in US.
Exactly.
Because they don't even have a bank account to start with. But he wants to study. Exactly. He wants to invest in his education. And when I came up with the e-learning platform, I was trying to solve the problem of how do I pay online if I don't have a visa? Exactly. And most of the websites, they require a visa, PayPal account, or a MasterCard, for example, and they don't have access to that. So this is when we have the problems that we need to fix. So going to the last question. About the ANGOTIC. Well, from 2019 to 2025, we're already talking about 6 to 5 years. 6 years. 5 years, yeah. 5 years. So the next 5 years, I see ANGOTIC still being a key event for digital entrepreneurship, innovation, telecommunications event, reference event within SADC. Yes. I really wish that we keep growing in terms of the number of people visiting, not just within Angola, but outside the speakers we have.
Yes.
And also more exchange of knowledge base
Yes.
within SADC.
SADC.
For example, to reference, we have that huge project, Smart Africa,
Yes.
that Angola is one of the stakeholders.
Exactly.
This can be a platform to continue the exchange of digital knowledge in different areas.
Exactly.
They even have an e-learning platform with soft skills for entrepreneurs, young entrepreneurs that want to continuously learn. So
Yeah.
platforms like that we can use to connect and exchange information and try to eliminate borders.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, the solution in South Africa can be applied here,
Yes.
even, for example, for the citizenship, digital citizenship, something that our government is already starting to talk about.
Yes.
But I'm aware that South Africa and Rwanda can be a case study for us.
Exactly.
Instead of going to do a case study from a first world country
Yes.
that do not have the same problems we have here.
Same variables and same conditions.
Same variables and same conditions. So I think that the exchange of information is key for the success of all African countries.
Okay. Thank you very much, and congratulations on your democratization of digitization
Yes.
and communication technology at large. Continue doing the good work. We're proud to be here, and we'll be taking this word of Angola forward to South Africa and the entire region of BRICS. Thank you.
Grateful. Thanks.